Okay, welcome everyone. Good to see you all. Thanks so much for joining us for today's BeWell education session. My name is Mariah Bruner and I'm wellness coordinator here at UCA and I serve faculty and staff. I'm really excited today about our topic of hydration. It's a great summer topic. Just a housekeeping item for you to keep in mind. At the end of the presentation, I'll share the process for claiming your 5 lifestyle reward points if you're a BeWell participant. So stick around and I'll share those at the end. And I want to take a moment to introduce our speaker. So today we've got Shelby Darden. Shelby is a graduate assistant here at UCA in health sciences, and she is pursuing her master's in health promotion here at UCA. So Shelby, it is great to have you here and it's all yours.
All right. So today we are going to talk about the importance of hydration and how to hydrate effectively. And I do want to have a little disclaimer here. I am not a medical provider. So if you have any questions about your specific situation, please just ask your medical provider. I won't be able to provide those answers. And then I also wanted to say that I found out that yesterday was National Hydration Day. So this is a very timely topic. I want to just start out here with a little poll to kind of assess your water intake. So are you, and this is anonymous, are you adequately hydrating each day? Yes, I do pretty well, but there's room for improvement, or I don't drink very much water. Submit your answers.
We're still getting a couple of responses here. Let's give it a few more moments. Okay, we're going to end polling. Here are the results.
Okay, so the majority of the respondents said that you do pretty well, but there's room for improvement. And that is great because we will be learning how we can improve today. So let's go ahead and get started. So we've got some learning objectives. By the end of the presentation, you should be able to identify 2 symptoms of dehydration, list at least one way in which dehydration can occur, identify at least 2 hydrating foods, and then list a hydration goal that's going to help you increase your daily water intake. All right, so what does water do for us? Water is essential to human life. We cannot survive more than a few days without it. It pretty much helps regulate all of our body functions. So here's a short list. Regulates body temperature, moistens the tissues in the eyes, nose, and mouth, protects our organs and tissues, carries nutrients and oxygen to cells, lubricates joints, and then flushes out waste products. So according to the Mayo Clinic, dehydration occurs when you use or lose more fluid than you're intaking, and your body doesn't have enough water to carry out the normal, or fluids to carry out the normal functions. If you don't replace lost fluids, you will get dehydrated. So there are some health concerns of dehydration. Heat injury can occur, so that's going to look like heat cramps, heat exhaustion, or heat stroke. You can have urinary and kidney problems, so that can be urinary tract infections, kidney stones, or even kidney failure. Seizures, so this happens when there's an imbalance of electrolytes. You can have muscle contractions, or this can lead to loss of consciousness. And then low blood volume shock, which is also referred to as hypovolemic shock. It's a drop in blood pressure and oxygen in your body. So everyone is at risk for dehydration. If you are not intaking enough fluids, you can become dehydrated. But those in this who are especially at risk are children, elderly adults, those with chronic illnesses such as untreated diabetes or kidney disease, and then people who work or exercise outside in hot and humid conditions, which is a very important thing for us because we live in Arkansas and it is summertime and it is hot and humid. So if you are in that category, you need to make sure that you are taking in more fluids. All right. Dehydration can occur from not drinking enough water, vigorous exercise where you are profusely sweating, during an illness. So if you're experiencing fever, vomiting, or diarrhea, those are all loss of fluids. And then frequent urination. So this can happen if you're taking certain medications or if you're drinking natural diuretics such as caffeine, certain teas. Those are kind of make you go to the bathroom often. All right. There are several symptoms of dehydration. The most obvious one is probably thirst, but you shouldn't wait until you're thirsty to start hydrating because at this point your fluid levels are already pretty low. Thirst is just your body's way of letting you know that it needs attention. Infrequent urination, I know on the last slide we just talked about frequent urination, but a symptom of infrequent urination is just letting you know that you don't really have anything to kind of pass. Headaches, dizziness, irritability, and fogginess. So not being able to really focus on your work. And then color of urine. So color of urine is a really easy way to kind of self-assess your hydration levels. So on this chart here, if you're in the 1 to 2 range, you are hydrated, you're doing a good job, keep up the good work. If your urine is looking the colors of 3 or 4, you are mildly dehydrated and you probably need to drink a glass of water. When you get down to 5 and 6, you are dehydrated. So you definitely want to drink water immediately. And then 7 or 8 is a serious situation. You are very dehydrated. You need to get water into your system. So this is going to be darker, strong smelling urine in small amounts. So those are the 3 kind of signs that let you know that you are extremely dehydrated. All right, so we've got another poll coming up here for you. And let's see. So true or false, drinking 8 8-ounce glasses of water a day or 64 ounces is the recommended daily intake for all adults. True or false? Okay, let's see here. So 67% of respondents answered true. This is kind of a trick question because most people are told that drinking 8 8-ounce glasses of water is the recommended daily intake, but that is actually outdated. So let's see what it is now. So the 8x8 rule, as some people called it, was kind of a blanket statement. It didn't really account for differences in sex, body mass, or the environment that you live in. So as of 2004, the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine released a statement or released a report that women should be drinking 91 ounces, 2.7 liters, or in cups, that is going to be at least 9 cups of fluid that you need to take. And then for men, it's 125 ounces or 3.7 liters. And then in cups, you want to be taking at least 12.5 of those cups in fluid. So what I mean by that is that our water intake is going to be much higher, but not all of it is going to come from water. Some of it is going to come from food. So you don't have to sit and drink 2.7 liters or 3.7 liters of water a day. Some of it's going to come from your food. And then, of course, like I said earlier, if you're working outdoors or exercising in a hot and humid climate, you want to increase that intake. So about 80% of our water intake is going to come from the beverages we drink and 20% from food. So what are some foods and drinks that can dehydrate you or that you should avoid? So you should definitely try to avoid alcohol. So alcohol is a natural diuretic. And that's going to make you go to the bathroom more often. So it's recommended that if you're drinking beverages, you want to have at least a glass of water in between each one to kind of balance it out. Caffeine is also a natural diuretic that's going to increase urination. Sugary drinks like soda and energy drinks, you want to stay away from those just because those aren't thirst quenchers and they're going to leave you wanting more. So you should just stick with water. And then foods high in sodium. Sodium is going to kind of deplete your fluid. So if you're feeling really dehydrated, you definitely don't want to go for something that is high in salt. Okay. The good news is that there are a lot of foods that have a lot of water in them. So when you want to help hydrate, of course, the number one thing, water, that's going to be the best. But you can turn to fruits and veggies as well. So some of those fruits are watermelon, strawberries, tomatoes, cantaloupe, honeydew, pineapple, peaches, oranges, and apples. And then for veggies, we have cucumbers, lettuce, celery, zucchini, spinach, kale, broccoli, and carrots. And then skim and soy milk are also good alternatives. So luckily, that is a nice long list of really delicious foods that you can use to help your water intake. All right, so I want to talk about some SMART goals here. And Mariah is going to link in the chat the BeWell SMART goals worksheet to just kind of give you a refresher on what it means to make a SMART goal. So when you're setting a goal for yourself for a habit change, you want it to be specific. You want to be able to measure your achievements. You want it to be attainable and realistic, so that it doesn't overwhelm you, and then it needs to be time bound. So if you look at some of the examples on the worksheet, one example would be like, every Tuesday I will do yada, yada, yada. So that's what we mean by time bound. So with that in mind, these are some hydration goals that you can use as a starting off point for setting your own SMART goal that is specific to your schedule and your lifestyle. So a couple of these are going to be, you can download a water reminder app such as Drink Water or the Drink Water Reminder Tracker. That's just going to help you check your progress throughout the day of how much you've been drinking. And then a couple of specific ones for like certain times of day to help you remember to drink water. I really like this one. Drink 1 glass of water after each bathroom break and before each meal, because I think this helps break up your day, especially like if you're at work, if you're sitting at your desk. This can be a good way to kind of like break your day into smaller portions and really get that water intake. If you are commuting to and from work, you can set a goal of trying to drink a bottle of water on the way to work and the way home from work. And then another simple one is drinking a glass of water after brushing your teeth. That's going to be like a memory thing to help you get that on track and really in your schedule. A really popular one that we've probably all seen is using a water bottle that marks off goals by the hour to motivate your consumption. So like the one in the photo, you don't have to buy one. I think we've all probably seen people carrying around like the gallon jugs that they use like a Sharpie. So it's not something that you even have to like go out to the store and do anything. You can make your own. But that, if you're a visual person, that's going to help you keep it in mind. All right. And I wanted to end on a fun note with some recipes. So if you are someone who struggles with drinking like plain water throughout the day, you don't have to make that your number one source of water intake. So what you can do on these, I'm not going to read the recipes to you. If you want to take a screen grab, or Mariah can send out an email to the attendants if you want to have these for yourself. But this one here, watermelon and goat cheese salad with citrus vinaigrette, I thought was a really nice like summer alternative to just like a regular salad, because the watermelon and the mixed greens in there are going to be good sources of hydration. We also have watermelon salsa, which is another fun alternative summery snack. Not that there's anything wrong with regular salsa, but this is just kind of like a fun little thing if you're hosting or something that you want to try out. And then this one is probably my favorite, strawberry and cream cheese sandwich you can make for a nice light snack because those strawberries are really going to have the water that you need in them. And then if you substitute, wheat bread or white bread for wheat bread, that's another extra little healthy boost. So this could be a nice little healthy snack. Lastly, infused water. So there are an innumerable amount of combinations that you can make of infused water, just depending upon your preferences. So as you can see in the photo here, we have one with cucumbers, we've got lemons and strawberries, and then oranges. So the recipe that I found had strawberries and cucumber slices, but again, you can add whatever you want. And this is kind of just like a motivating, like extra treat of water if you struggle with kind of the plain taste. All right, so in summary, we took a look at the at-risk populations who should take extra care to stay hydrated. We looked at some of the symptoms of dehydration and just recognizing those that can help you and those around you to avoid serious health complications. Hydration does not just depend on the water we drink, but the foods we consume as well. We looked at some SMART goals that can help you increase your water consumption, and then adding more hydrating foods in your diet can be a fun and delicious way to reach your recommended daily intake. So, are there any questions?
Shelby, we do have a question in the chat. Someone asked, I don't always like to drink just regular water. Is it okay to drink flavored water instead?
Yeah, so there are some, you've probably seen the little like packets that you can put in water. I would just make sure that you read the packet and that it doesn't have like a whole lot of extra sugars or anything in it. You know, you just want to make sure that whatever you're adding to the water isn't as bad for you as, say, drinking a soda. But yeah, you can definitely do that.
That's great advice. Another question, what are some strategies you can offer to help me increase my water intake throughout the day? I'm assuming that means in addition to what you've already discussed.
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, depending upon your schedule, if those don't work for you, it might just be something as simple as trying to, you know, come up with something for your own life that will help you remember how to intake water. And then if some of those, you know, alternatives that I provided sound better than just drinking regular water, hopefully that will work for you.
Yes. Oh, here's a good question. Is the sparkling water okay to drink health-wise?
Sparkling water, as far as like carbonated, is something like carbonated water?
I'm thinking they're talking probably like a seltzer,
Yeah.
non-alcoholic seltzer.
Yeah. So that should be just as fine. I mean, it's just like adding an extra little fizz, because for me, I love sodas because of the carbonation. And so if that's what your brain is recognizing as like, ooh, this is a treat for me, then that could be a really easy way to like trick yourself into drinking more and kind of phasing out sodas.
We had a tip in the chat. Someone said to use a straw. I agree with that. I feel like for my own purposes, when I use a straw, I drink a lot more water throughout the day.
Yeah.
Or even not just a straw, but just like the top of your water bottle makes a difference. I'm just going to show mine as an example. I know like if it's just like an easy one like this, just makes it as simple as possible to take a quick swig. But you have to find what works for you. So just keep that in mind. Maybe try a few different options and see what you like. Someone asked, is there a pH of water that is recommended? Malcolm, I think that's a great question, but I think it's probably beyond the scope of this discussion. I'd be happy to search for some information for you on that afterwards. Oh, and then here's another tip in the chat. There's a brand called Hint. It has flavor with no sugar or artificial added substitutes, or added sugar substitutes. So yeah, that's a great option as well. Walmart has sparkling flavored water that tastes like soda. Okay. And oh, and then another question, is there any evidence that drinking water at certain times of day is better for you? Did that come across in your research, Shelby?
I didn't find really anything about the certain time of day. I think really when you're looking at hydration, you want it to be an all day thing. And then of course, if you are outside, at certain times of day, you're going to lose more fluid than at others. So that's just something to be aware of. But just as far as hydration goes, all day long, try to make that your part of your lifestyle.
I think that's good advice. Someone did ask, is there a different level of intake of water depending on weight? Shelby, do you want to cover that, or do you want me to share my little tip that we talked about?
You can share the tip. I don't have like the full thing right now in front of me.
No, that's all right. So Shelby shared some kind of general general recommendations. And Shelby, would you mind maybe backtracking to that slide for just a moment, and we can take a look at that again. There you go. So kind of for the average woman, average man, 2.7 liters, 3.7 liters. Another way that is just a really easy way to try to calculate your daily need is to figure out your number of calories that you're intaking. So look, we're just going to say that that's 1,500. Well, you would want to drink 1 milliliter of water for every calorie. So that would be 1,500 milliliters of water. So you can do the math. You can go to Google and just convert really easily, 1,500 milliliters in cups, and it'll do it for you. So again, that you kind of have to know your calorie intake. So there's another level to that. But if you figure, for maybe a petite woman, 1,200 to 1,500 calories a day, you're probably going to want 12 to 1,500 milliliters of water for, a 6'5" male. That's going to look a lot differently. So 1 milliliter of water for every calorie that you consume is kind of a nice, easy way to calculate your specific needs. So hopefully that's helpful.
And like I said about the 8x8 rule, the reason that we don't really use that anymore is because it was a blanket rule that didn't account for those differences. So the newer one is kind of just like the recommended daily intake for the average man or woman. But yeah, it's going to be depending on your circumstances or even like the medications that you take. Those numbers are going to be different for you. So if you have a specific question about, if you need to be doing more or less than the average, then I would ask your doctor about that to see if there's anything that you should be doing.
Yeah, that is great advice. So I think that's a perfect segue. So while we're talking about essential nutrients, your food, your intake of water, I always like to remind everyone on campus that we do have a registered dietitian nutritionist here on campus that is here to serve students, faculty, and staff. It's completely free. It's individual nutrition counseling. You can do it in person or virtual, whatever you prefer. And I'm just going to slip a link in the chat to more information. His name is Nathan Slinkard. He is very friendly and approachable and is happy to work with you. So if that's something that you're interested in, if this has kind of sparked an interest in taking a look at your diet, as well as your beverage intake, set up an appointment with Nathan. He'd be happy to meet with you. So that's just one resource I wanted to make sure I reminded you all about. The second reminder is for BeWell participants. You all have access to My Health Check 360, which I know a lot of us are familiar with looking at our biometric results and things like that, but some of you may not be utilizing the Track Health feature. There's many different things that you can track, and water is one of them. And it's really easy. You can use the app or the website portal, whatever works for you, and you can go in and easily track your water consumption. So again, we're just trying to give you some tips to help motivate you to stay hydrated. And that's one of those resources that's out there for you, and doesn't cost anything. If you're already in the system with BeWell, there's no charge. And then just kind of a heads up, our next wellness challenge for BeWell participants is going to be coming up in the fall. We're going to wait till a lot more people are back on campus after summer travels and after our faculty return. And that challenge is going to be focused on hydration. So hopefully we've teased you a little bit, gotten you excited about drinking more water. So stay tuned for that. We'll have some fun prizes, and hopefully that'll get you using that Health Check 360 tracker as well in tracking your water. So just keep that in mind. And I'm about to share my screen so that you can get your 5 lifestyle reward points. Before I do that, I do want to pop a link in the chat to our session evaluation survey. So if you wouldn't mind just taking 1 or 2 minutes to fill that out, that is very helpful. I compile those anonymous responses, and I share that with our presenters. So it's really helpful, especially with students like Shelby who are sharpening their professional skill set. That's really helpful to her to know what she did right and maybe some areas for improvement if you have any comments. So take a moment to do that, and I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll adjourn here in just a moment. So just give me 1 second. There's always that awkward transition when you're trying to start your slideshow. Here we go. Okay. So as usual, if you're familiar with this, this is the screen that you can take a photo or a snip or a screenshot of. Go ahead and submit that to your account on My Health Check 360. You'll get your 5 points. Go ahead and use that BeWell Education Sessions category. And if that just seems way too complicated, or if you have issues, you can always just contact me and I'll get you a little certificate of attendance. But the easiest way is just to snap a photo on your cell phone and get that loaded up to your app. You'll get your 5 points. So with that, I think we'll officially adjourn. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any additional questions or comments, though, we will stick around for just a few more minutes and we can discuss. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day.